Everybody, welcome to another daily devotion. Good to have you with us today. My name is Dave, and it is cold outside, so I am inside, and I'm recording this in my studio. So, so we've been doing these. This is our 20th season, so there are, there's got to be close to 200, if not more than 200 of these daily devotions inside of our YouTube channel, and they're also on my website as well. And then we've got them in our membership area too over at joindavesband.com. But today I wanted to continue. We've really been just walking through these little snippets of devotions that I write every single day. And so today I want to jump into 2 Corinthians, hang on one second, 5:21. And it says this. It says, "For God made Christ, who never sinned, to be the offering for our sin, so that we could be made right with God through Christ." And just thinking on this, and right off the bat, amazing, right? An incredible statement. Another way, the NIV says, "For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him." Pretty cool. So let me read my what I was thinking about on this particular day when I wrote this devotion. Then we'll dive a little bit deeper. There's actually a whole bunch of notes on this particular verse. So I was reading this morning about being made right, about how God made Christ to be the offering for our sin. Think about that for a minute and read the sentence again. God made Christ to be the offering for our sin. And then I went on to read this verse. It says, "For God made Christ, who never sinned, to be the offering of our sins, so that we could be made right with God through Christ." And I've certainly read 2 Corinthians before. But for some reason, on this particular day, and even now, this verse just stands out a little more than usual, right? It just kind of popped off the pages. Have you ever had that happen where you're reading and all of a sudden one verse is just like, wow, I've read this like 1,000 times, but now it means so much more. It could be, circumstances going on in your life, experiences, all of this stuff. It's kind of amazing. God made Christ to be the offering of my sin. All the silly stuff that I do, all the mistakes and the regrets that I have, God made Christ to take all of that and fix it so that I could be made right with God. I love that illustration. When God looks at us, he just sees Jesus. And that is a beautiful, incredible way of looking at this. So let me just dig in a little deeper here, okay? So the idea that any man could be sinless was foreign to Jewish thinking back in the day. Just didn't exist. Like, that was not something that was even thought of. Despite that, no one challenged Jesus when he claimed to be sinless. All right, that's straight out of John 8:46. It says, "Which of you convicts me of sin? And if I tell the truth, why do you not believe me?" And so he, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, Paul carefully chose his words. He doesn't say Jesus was made to be a sinner. Jesus never became a sinner, but he did become sin for us. That's the difference here. Even his becoming sin was a righteous act of love, not an act of sin. So he didn't become sin and that made him all of a sudden become a sinner. He literally became the sin because he loves us. Pretty amazing. Jesus wasn't a sinner, not even on the cross. On the cross, the Father treated him as if he were a sinner, yet all the while sin was outside of Jesus, not inside. And it was not a part of his nature as it is with us. Okay, so my brain is hurting just a little bit, but it's an interesting statement. So Spurgeon goes on to say this: "Christ was not guilty and could not be made guilty, but he was treated as if he were guilty, because he willed to stand in the place of the guilty. Yea, he was not only treated as a sinner, but he was treated as if he had become sin itself in the abstract. This is an amazing utterance. The sinless one was made to be sin, not to become the act of sin, but to be sin. Let me read that quote again because it just went, woo! Christ was not guilty and could not be made guilty, but he was treated as if he were guilty because he willed to stand in the place of the guilty. He wanted to stand in the place of the guilty. This was a conscious decision that Christ made for you and for me, to stand in the place of the guilty. We are guilty of sin, no way around it. And yet Christ came and said, I am going to stand in the way. I'm going to stand there for you, in the place of the guilty. He was not only treated as a sinner, but he was treated as if he had been sin itself in the abstract. This is an amazing, amazing statement. The sinless one was made to be sin. And then Spurgeon goes on to say this. I do not say that our substitute endured a hell that were unwarrantable. I will not say that he endured either the exact punishment for sin or the equivalent of it. But I do say that what he endured rendered to the justice of God a vindication of his law more clear and more effectual than would have been rendered to it by the damnation of the sinners for whom he died. Okay. What he endured rendered... let me just go back and read the whole thing again. Spurgeon, man, you gotta just hang on when he talks because it gets so deep. I don't say that our substitute endured a hell that were unwarrantable. I will not say that he endured either the exact punishment for sin or an equivalent for it. But I do say that what he endured rendered to the justice of God a vindication of his law more clear and more effectual than would have been rendered to it by the damnation of sinners for whom he died. Jesus becoming sin was more of a sacrifice than had that not happened. I think that's what he's saying there. And look, however you look at it, I, for one, continue to be grateful for the fact that Jesus became the sin for me. It's kind of amazing. Man, so good. I mean, there's a lot more we could walk through, but I think I just want to stop there. I want to go back and just read this other quote one more time, because this one is the one that really drives home the whole point. Jesus wasn't guilty. He wasn't. And he couldn't be made guilty. But he was treated as if he were guilty, because he stood in the place of the guilty, you and me. Not only was he treated as a sinner, but he was treated as if he had been sin itself, sin in the abstract. The sinless one was made to be sin for you and for me. And so for that, I am incredibly grateful. Let me just read this verse again. For he made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God for him. So I don't want us to get bogged down on some of these Spurgeon quotes and the fact that maybe we just can't quite understand them. They're pretty incredible. But the thing I do want to take away is this. Jesus wasn't guilty. And he couldn't be made guilty, but he took the place of the guilty. And that's you and me. So today, think on that. Take a minute. Hang out in 2 Corinthians 5. Let those words just kind of wash over you and fill you with really gratitude, right? Humility, gratitude, thankfulness. Just a state of being almost speechless because we just can't quite comprehend and understand why and how this all works. But I'm extremely grateful that it works. Sound good? Awesome. Hey, thanks for being here today, guys. If you want to be a part of this community and our membership program, it'd be amazing to have you with us. You can just go to joindavesband.com to get involved there. We've got over 500 hours of content, over 2,000 written devotions. We have video devotions, over 200 hours of Bible studies, worship videos, all my albums you can download there as well. It's an incredible community of people coming together and just seeking Jesus every single day. So check it out over at joindavesband.com. Get involved, and be sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet to this YouTube channel, and like this post on YouTube and on Facebook. That just helps with the whole thing. I don't know how it all works, but it helps. So, but thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed just hearing a little bit about what's going on in 2 Corinthians 5. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.